Okay, so thank you everyone for coming. It's good to see everyone since I haven't been outside forever and you guys probably haven't been out. So it's good to just take time to regroup and see how everyone is doing. So I wanted to just go around our Zoom room and ask you guys to share one behavior or thinking that you learned or experienced while sheltering in place. For example, one new behavior that I've developed is going to my backyard more just to absorb some sunlight and to do workouts. So going around the room, I want to just go down from left to right. So Steven.
I work out less and I read more, which is good and bad.
I also work out less, but go for walks now in the middle of the day. So, yeah.
Sabrina said Henry's voice sounds really dumb.
Fuck you, Sabrina.
Yeah.
Wow,
One behavior that I've started embracing is working on leak code. So it's this coding thing in the morning, doing one problem at least.
Hey, let's go.
Amy?
Sorry, what was the question? I was grabbing a hoodie when you explained it.
So the question was, what's one new behavior or thinking or experience that you've learned or experienced while sheltering in place?
So I realized that my anxiety has actually gone down, and I've read articles about how people who have anxiety, during this time they're kind of thriving because this is their worst case scenario in a sense.
I'm glad that your anxiety is going down. Jackie?
I realize I have to work more, but I still get paid the same. Not like work more hours, it's like the same hours, except within those hours, I have to work harder.
That sucks. Wait, is your work essential work?
Yeah, because I'm part of maintenance within the senior building. So without us, the building can't run themselves. Like right now, we have a bunch of food programs because the seniors doesn't go outside. So we have a bunch of food programs where they deliver food to our building, or I volunteer at a food bank and we bag the food and we bring it back to our building and then we pass them out. And oh my God, there's so much work.
Thank you for your service. And to everyone else who's working during this time. So, as
I wish I can file for unemployment.
I hope you get a promotion after this.
Can you just tell your boss to pay you under the table and then file for unemployment?
Oh, yes.
Bowden.
I've been learning to sort of invest in things that I've been sort of using a lot. Like for example, I bought a new chair because like if I'm going to be working at home, I'm gonna invest in a good chair. You can't see it right now, but yeah, I'm sitting on it. But yeah.
Now you want me, I want to see it because you just mentioned it. It's like, oh, okay. What kind of chair is it?
It's a steel case chair. I got a steel case Leap. I got it off Craigslist for like it retails for like 1,000. So I'm like, I'll do it.
Wow. Is it comfortable?
Oh yeah, it's hella comfortable. You kidding me? Like, you sleep in this thing. I've never seen a chair before. Nice.
Nice. Kim?
I have been meditating every day. I've never meditated every day. Like, sit down and meditate. So that's been an experience. I've learned a lot.
Awesome. William?
I sleep. It's harder for me to get to sleep at night, but it's easier for me to sleep in the daytime. Yes, that's what I
You
noticed.
fucked up your sleeping schedule.
Basically. But only when I'm not working, because I work every other week now. I'm on 1 week, and then I'm off 1 week. So the week when I'm off, it's like, whoa. It's weird.
Yeah, not gonna lie, my sleeping schedule got messed up too, but we'll make do. Crystal.
I have reaffirmed that I have an addictive personality. Yep.
Elaborate.
I have been spending the last since the start of this whole situation, I have been reading manga nonstop.
Got a problem.
I expect this to be worse. I think it's an addiction. At this point, I can't stop. Even as this whole situation is going down, I am reading manga in the background. So that's
it could be much worse. Yeah.
actually worse. Yeah, it could be drugs. It could be heroin. I don't know.
Whatever. Tomorrow we'll see.
Thank you.
You're right. You're right. Tomorrow's a new day.
Thank you for sharing, Crystal. I hope your manga is very enjoyable. Gordon Ha.
Yo, I've been playing so much games, dude. I'm about to go pro in LCS.
All right, so we have a manga addict and we have a leaguing addict right here. So, all right, very good. Henry already shared. He would like to take walks. Wesley also shared. Anna.
Me, I've been working, but I've been on bereavement for the past 3 days. Then I realized that I have no self-control when it comes to studying. I reward myself after one paragraph, 3 hours of leisure time. I have no self-control. That's what I've learned. But maybe I already knew that.
It's called positive reinforcement. You're doing great.
Thanks.
You gotta take breaks once in a while, so. Thank you for sharing, Anna. Jenny.
Can we repeat the question?
The question was, what have you learned or what behavior or thinking that have you experienced or started doing ever since shelter in place?
I would say overthinking in circles, because so for our program we're supposed to be in the process of getting internships, like doing interviews and stuff, but since the shelter in place happened, nobody's doing anything, like everything's on pause. So like I've been overthinking and stressing like crazy because, you know, I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. There's no progress. So I've been doing that. And I've been making those dalgona coffee things like every day. So I'm doing that too.
So I'll pass and hopefully everything will go back to semi-normal. So everything's gonna be okay, Jenny. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Gordon Chung.
I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, but it's most like somewhat educational, but it's also not very in depth of like a certain subject. This is all.
Oh, you just got muted. Did you mute yourself?
Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like talking in the.
Oh, something I learned. I learned that I'm actually pretty capable of like studying, I guess. Like before I would not do very well in school, but right now because I'm at home, like there's nothing else that I can do. So I've been doing more studying.
Awesome. I'm glad you found that out. Andy. Andy.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, okay.
What was the question?
So
hey, put your video on, bro.
The question was share one behavior or thinking that you learned or experienced while sheltering in place.
I don't know. Not a lot of things are new for me besides I don't go into work anymore.
How about the haircut, bro? Show us the haircut.
Oh, fuck, dude. I'm still doing that shit right now, dude.
Show it up, bro.
Oh, this is not good, dude.
Haircut.
Cutting your hair right now?
I'm trying.
Oh, Lord.
It's clean.
To the tail going.
Whoa.
Oh, I missed it. What the hell?
Thank you for sharing.
That's just gonna look good in like 45 minutes. It's work in progress.
Show us your haircut after you're done. Jared, how are you doing? Jared?
Huh? Well, you know, riding my motorcycle and hanging
Yo, he's
out.
not even paying attention, dog.
Meeting girls on Tinder and just having fun, you know.
Big facts.
All right. See you guys later.
Thank you, Jared. Thanks for sharing, Jared.
Wait, I'm sorry. Before we move on, can I share what I learned? Because I was kind of just like, well, I wanted to get through everybody. But basically from meditating, I became aware of like a lot of stories I had and like thought patterns. So like stories, like when teaching the yoga classes, I would forget one posture and I'd always say, I always forget that name. But then the next time I was like, I'm gonna remember it. And so yeah, from meditating, I was like, I say a lot of negative things.
Reflection.
You mean you say it to yourself or just out loud? I mean,
Let me
about
change
yourself.
that. I used to say negative things to myself, and now I'm aware of it, so we can move on.
Oh.
I hope you conduct a meditation class, Kim. Jared, are you here now? Okay, computer problems. Okay, we'll come back to you, Jared, and then.
Speak, Jared. Speak.
Where's Jackie?
All right. Well, okay. Well, we'll just we'll come back to this at the end, and then I noticed that Andy Zhang you joined. Hi, Andy. All right. Awesome. Okay. We'll just come back to everyone when they fix their mics. But thank you for sharing, everyone, and let's get started. Welcome to spread number 12. SPREAD stands for Supporting Peer Respect, Education, and Discourse. And although we can't come together physically, it's great to see how everyone is doing. It's my very, very great pleasure to introduce William. He's an avid beach walker and board game enthusiast, if you don't know. And for those of you, okay, everyone knows each other, so that's good. And then he became interested in behavioral economics in his senior year of high school. So I'm glad that he's gonna share more about this topic with us today. Fun fact, there's no such thing as a Nobel Prize in psychology, but the findings were so groundbreaking that they gave the person who discovered behavioral economics, Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel Prize in economics. So without further ado, please welcome William.
Hi, everybody. So let me share the screen real quick. Ooh. Can everybody see? Everybody see the thing?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Wait. Ooh. Okay, I think that's slightly better. All right. So, as Carmen said, we're going to talk about behavioral economics, specifically the research of Daniel Kahneman. This research came out in like 2011, I believe. He sort of compiled a lot of his research that he'd done over the course of his like decades-long career into this book right here. Oh, this book right here. And it's about, you know, these different thought processes, right? There's slow thinking and there's fast thinking. And so I'm just going to go over like, you know, the most interesting tidbits of his research and all of that stuff. Everybody can still hear me, right?
Yeah, we're good. I'll be
Okay.
monitoring the chat, so I might interrupt you if anyone's like has a question on the chat, and then, or
Sure, yeah. Feel free to interrupt at any time with a question. Okay, so first off, I just want to bring up, you know, Economics 101. If any of you don't recall, like one of the more important aspects of economics, or at least the part of economics that pertains to this presentation, is this sort of rational agent model. A lot of, you know, basic economics depends upon the notion that everybody who participates in an economic system is like what this guy says, Bruno Frey. He said that an agent of economic theory is rational, selfish, and his tastes do not change, or her tastes do not change, right? So that was a lot of theory, all of that stuff with like supply, demand, and markets, and, you know, the market will distribute resources more, you know, the most equitably way possible. All of that is dependent upon every person who participates in that market being rational, selfish, and having tastes that do not change. However, we know in real life that that doesn't necessarily shake out the way that you expect. So let me throw this to you. Which of these options would you prefer? Would you rather toss a coin, and if it comes up heads, you gain $100, and if it comes up tails, you gain nothing? Or would you rather just get $46 for sure?
$46.
Yeah. And then here's another thing here. Would you reject or accept this gamble? So the gamble is you toss a coin. If it comes up heads, you gain $150. And if it comes up tails, then you lose $100. So would you accept or reject this gamble?
I don't even have $100.
Assuming that you have $100 or that you would go into debt, like, would you accept or reject this gamble?
Reject.
So I'm just going to let those simmer for a little bit. We'll come back to those. We'll come back to those right now. So basically, like, if you were perfectly rational, right, according to this rational agent model, in the first example, or the second example here, let's just apply a little bit of statistics. So tossing a coin, there's a 50% chance of getting heads, there's a 50% chance of getting tails. So if you multiply the probability times the outcome, then you get 75, right? Because 150 times 0.5 equals $75. So there's $75 in the positive, and then the other one is $50 in the negative. So if you add those two together, then overall this gamble will overall gain you $25 because you're gaining more than you're potentially losing. So if you're being perfectly rational, you should accept this gamble, really. But we're not perfectly rational. We don't think about it that way. The losses loom so much larger than the gains. So where does this gut feeling come from? Really, that's what behavioral economics is all about. It's trying to explain these gut feelings that sort of get in the way of rational thought. Are there questions?
He did ask, is this over the long run?
What?
Steven?
Oh, I think we answered the question. Even if it's just one chance, like some dude came up to you and gave you this, you were still supposed to be better off taking the bet, right?
Because it's weighted in the positive. So if you're being perfectly rational, then you would take this bet because you have the same life to gain, the same life to lose it, but gaining more is better than gaining less, right? However, it doesn't feel that way. The losses loom so large in your mind that you'd much rather reject this gamble, right? I think all of us would much rather reject this gamble. So where does that gut feeling come from? And behavioral economics hopes to explain this a little bit. So first off, this baby here, what's up with this baby? Is this baby happy or angry? I think it's pretty clear. You don't really have to think about it. This baby's super angry, right? This baby's had enough of your shiz. So this is an example of what Daniel Kahneman calls system one thinking, right? This is your fast thinking, okay? So system one, you're not really thinking in the traditional sense. It's quick and automatic. You fire from the hip. There's little to no voluntary control. Like you didn't have to, you didn't choose whether or not you perceived that baby to be angry or happy. It just happened, right? And it's not always super accurate, and it often takes shortcuts to arrive at conclusions faster because, in a survival situation, you want to take information, sensory perceptions, and you want to process them as quickly as possible. And that's what system one does. It processes sensory information in a way that's so fast that you really don't even feel like you're thinking. Things that happen to your system one, they feel like they happen to you rather than you processing stuff that's going on around you. The stuff sort of happens through you. That's kind of what it feels like. Or even if you don't even really register a feeling when you're processing system one stuff. So what are some examples here? So the first example I want to draw your attention to is that your system one is good at detecting objects that's more distant from one another. So I just want to ask you a question here, like which of these businessmen is the biggest? Which of them is the biggest? Is it
the left one?
Ooh, is it this guy? Ooh, this guy's super big, right? Well, actually, they're all the same size. If you want to take like your fingers and just sort of, test this out for yourself, you'll find that this is the same size as this, is the same size as this. Yeah, they're exactly the same size. Yeah, but it's just sort of this sidewalk thing that's messing with your perception. And it's making you believe that this businessman is farther away from you and therefore is bigger, and this businessman is closer to you and therefore is smaller. But they're actually, if you look at this, they're actually the same exact size. So that's another example of like your system one wants to arrive at a conclusion super quickly, and that can lead you to make the wrong conclusion, okay? So another example, your system one is the thing that makes a disgust face when you're shown a horrible photo, okay? So it sort of responds immediately in an emotional way. It detects hostility in a voice. It can make simple calculations. So system one, 2 plus 2, everybody knows this. 2 plus 2 is 22. And you can make like you can conclude very common turns of phrase, right? So like this sentence right here is bread and what goes well with bread, bread and avocado, right? So you got avocado, avocado. All right, so your system two is the other side of the coin, right? If your system one goes like that, then your system two is the one that takes a little effort, okay? This is slow thinking, right? It allocates attention. to effortful mental activities, right? And these effortful activities are things like a good rule of thumb for something that is being done by your system 2 is it's something that you shouldn't be doing while you're making a left turn into traffic, you know? Like you shouldn't be doing long division while you're trying to make a left turn into traffic because you might get the calculation wrong. Okay? And then it's also associated with subjective experiences of like, you know, agency, choice, and concentration. These are all sort of system 2 based phenomenon, right? System 1 doesn't really make you feel like you have a lot of agency. You know, your system 1 just kind of does stuff. You know, you perceive somebody being angry, you perceive somebody being yada, 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 you perceive the colors around you, depth perception and all that. But system 2, it takes a little more effort, but it gives you a feeling of agency. It gives you a feeling of choice, right? Pop quiz, okay? So here's a question for your system 2. So a bat and a ball both cost $1.10. If you already know the answer to this, please do not respond. But if you don't know the answer and you want to work it out, then go right ahead, shout out the answer. So a bat and a ball cost $1.10 total. The bat costs $1 more than the ball, right? So how much does the ball cost? Anybody want to venture a guess?
Yeah, you don't have to give me some time on this one. Hold on.
Wait.
Just give me the first answer that comes to mind. Anybody?
10 cents,
How much does
right?
the ball cost? 10 cents. 10 cents. Yeah, it's 10 cents. Obviously, right? So let's work it out. So the bat costs 10 cents because it's $1 more than the ball. So the bat costs $1.10. So a bat and a ball cost $1.10 total. So you got to combine the ball with the bat, and you get 10 cents plus $1.10 equals $1.20. Oh, that's false. See? Because it's like, what? So what's up with that? It's because the ball actually costs 5 cents. That costs $1 more than the ball, which is $1.05. So you add those together, you get $1.10, which is the total that we were actually looking for. Ooh. Ooh, trick question. Ooh. So, you know, why were all of us just so stupid just now? You know, when it's not your fault, your system 2 is just lazy.
For sure.
You know, it's sort of fired from the hip, right? $1.10. 10 cents is such an easy answer, but it's a wrong answer. It should be 5 cents. Yeah. So going back to system 2 attributes, right? Slow thinking, effortful thinking, experience of agency. Let's add to that extremely lazy. Your system 2 is the laziest thing about you. Here are some examples of system 2 thinking. You know, perform complex calculations like the bat and the ball problem. But, you know, when you're answering the bat and the ball problem, you're actually answering it with your system 1 thinking, because your system 1 assumptions, right? Your system 1 will make an assumption, it will make a conclusion about the world. It's very easy and very quick. And your system 2, more often than not, will just sort of rubber stamp it and be like, yeah, I thought of that, when really you didn't really think about it. So system 2 also is involved in, you know, maintaining a faster walking speed. So it's involved in physical things like if you're trying to learn a new instrument and whatnot, that's your system 2. You know, filling out a tax form is system 2. Physiological responses maker. So, you know, when you're performing complex calculations, maybe in the future, try to monitor your breathing, because you might be breathing a little deeper. And whenever you're doing any sort of complex calculation, it's been shown that like your eyes will dilate. You know, if you're really thinking hard about something, if you're really using your system 2, your pupils will definitely dilate, they'll get bigger. So that's sort of like a physiological response to system 2 processing, okay? System 2 also counts the occurrences of letter A in a PowerPoint slide. So, you know, things where you really need to focus in on tiny little things. And it can check the validity of a complex logical argument. You know, that's your system 2 at work. And for anybody keeping track at home, there's 21 A's on this page. So let's watch this real quick. So this is another little quiz. This is a selective attention test. So it'll explain everything.
Six times?
Ooh, so, you know, that's sort of an example of how your system 2 is like, it needs to push everything else to the side in order to do its work, right? So we're gonna go over certain consequences of this dual system of thinking. Here are some things that, you know, happen to your average human being when you're, you know, trying to juggle between these two things. Wait, do we have any questions so far? No questions? Okay. So I'm going to talk about something called the cognitive shotgun and priming. So here's the word banana, right? So whenever you have a concept in front of you, your brain automatically sort of thinks up different concepts that surround the banana. You know, you're imagining like it's a fruit, right? It's nutritious, yada, yada, yada. So that happens automatically, and that's a part of your system 1. And that's what Daniel Kahneman calls the cognitive shotgun, where when you think of a banana, you don't just think of like the banana, but you think about everything related to a banana. Now I'm going to throw up another word, vomit. So now you're thinking about both of these two concepts and how they sort of intersect, like, oh, maybe like a rotten banana, maybe eating the rotten banana, you know? So that's not good. So now this is an example of the cognitive shotguns where it's like, these are just letters. These are just letters on a screen, right? But because you're reading them and because you have this cognitive shotgun, your brain will, you know, throw out a bunch of different concepts at you, right? And it's important because of this thing called priming, okay? So another pop quiz, you know, complete the word. What is this word? Maybe you were thinking of the word soup, right? Soup. But what about soap? You could just as easily complete it to be soap, right? Why are we anti-soap over here, man? It could have been soap. So you were actually primed to think of the word soup instead of soap because this previous slide had the word eat on it and the other slide had like, you know, food on it. But this is an example of priming. Sort of getting a concept into your head makes it so that your system 1 will attach to those concepts and work through those concepts more quickly and arrive at conclusions that are associated with those concepts that have been primed in your head. So I'm going to go into some more examples here. This is sort of a quick and dirty example or a quick and dirty diagram of how your system 2 is really lazy, right? So it will just sort of grab at ideas that you've been thinking about, you know, recently. You know, if you have a related experience or if you have a primed idea or if you're in a good mood, then your system 2 will, it will reach for those concepts first before it reaches for stuff that you really haven't been thinking about recently. Okay, so that's cognitive ease, priming in you. So here's a study that was done in 1996. Students at New York University, they were asked to assemble 4-word sentences from a group of 5 words, right? And so for the students who are actually having the example set upon them, the non-control group, half the words were associated with the elderly. So it was like Florida, forgetful, gray, wrinkled, etc. And then the students were asked to walk to another office to complete a different study, okay? And the students who were given the words with an elderly theme walked significantly more slowly than the students given random words, which is weird, right? Because they were just given words, they were just given concepts. They weren't asked to walk any slower, but they walked slower because they were given these concepts that made them think of being elderly. So in a 2006 study, students were asked to walk around a room for a short period of time at a significantly slower pace. So they were asking them to walk slowly. And then those participants who were asked to walk slowly, they were much quicker to recognize words related to old age, such as forgetful, old, lonely. So acting out old age reinforced the concept of old age, even though there was no sort of direct priming, you know? Brain sort of short-circuited, or it didn't short-circuit, it made some shortcuts. There made